All right, everybody. So we just heard the story and exactly what transactional funding is. Okay. Now I'm going to hit Peter with a couple of questions. And one of those questions are, tell me about how transactional funding affects the relationship positively with the seller and with the buyer, because it is a tool. And the seller, they're just selling it to me now. And now the buyer is also just buying it from me. So it's this and what I'm leading you into is there's a lot of security here, and there's obvious security that I see, like, wow, that does sound amazing, but tell us, like, what are the nuanced things that we aren't seeing in the ways that benefits us as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think a great way to look at it, and the way I view it a lot too, is when I was starting out, if I had a tool like this, it would have been a game changer, right? Like a lot of those early assignments were pretty decent chunky ones for me, like 20, 25, 30K, where like the night before and the day of, I'm just like clenching. I'm like, I hope this doesn't blow up on me. And unfortunately, I had some that did, where literally at the closing table, I got a call from the attorney and the seller on speaker. And even though I walked them through it, I told this seller, like, I'm going to bring a partner to the deal, or I might sell this to someone else, but you're going to get what we agreed upon. They still saw that assignment fee, and I had to go back, renegotiate. They walked out on me, right? And I had deals blow up on me. So to be able to double close and not have to use my own money back when I started would have been a huge tool. The biggest piece is it's really, you are taking ownership of the transaction at this point. You actually are the buyer, the investor. And then when you turn around and sell it to your end buyer, you're actually a seller, right? You're not assigning it over, hoping that it doesn't cause issues or people don't see it and it's a big deal and it blows up on you. It just gives you control. And my phrase line for everybody is like, it protects your profits. Like if you're making a good spread that you're going to take, put it back into your business, pay your employees, keep the lights on, put it into marketing, pay yourself, right? You need to protect that at all costs, because we all know that it's getting harder and harder out there to get deals, right? And things are expensive and you got to put a lot of money into it. So if you want to protect that, to be able to double close it and not leave it open for anybody to see is a huge tool to use. And another thing I let a lot of wholesalers and investors know is it's not always just your seller that you're having to kind of worry about or think about in these situations. It's your end buyer. They're usually savvier. They want to see your contract when you send it over to them, when you send over an assignment. And they can tell you all day long that they're not going to count what you make. I cannot tell you how many times I've had an end buyer be like, man, I hope you're making 100K on this, right? I hope you're killing it. And then they see it. And if you are making 60, 70, 100K, I've had so many times where they come back and they're like, oh, well, there's more issues than I thought, right? Or, oh, there's in the far back corner under that house, there's mold that you're never going to see because you're not crawling around back there, but I'm going to need a 10, 15, $20,000 reduction. They're going to do that because they know what your assignment fee is. But if they don't know that, if they just are getting it at the price that they need it at, and they're not digging into your pockets and pulling out of your profit, then you're much, much better off as that wholesaler and investor. So it's protecting you on a whole, and you have control, way more control over the process rather than just assigning it over and hoping that everything goes well.
Well, and one of the big epiphanies that came to me while you were talking is no one likes to feel like a sucker.
Right.
Okay. And
Right.
that's really what you're doing. You're protecting against those emotions from coming out. When you're buying a house and the seller sees you're making 40K, there's no way they're not like, well, I'm happy for you. And like you said, they might say it in the words prior to that, but it doesn't mean that when they see it on paper and they're going back to their lives, that they're not like, man, I could have really put 20 of that 40K to use. How come he had to make so much? And then the buyer he's doing again. It's like we have to be aware of the lip service.
Yeah.
And to your point, I own a lead generation company. A lot of my clients are flippers, and the conversation starts with, I'm sick of paying $40,000 for a deal. And that's another thing to think about as a wholesaler is if you show them that you're direct to seller and you're charging them 40K for it, think about how many marketing dollars they're now going to go deploy. They could give me 4K, right, themselves, and then have a huge result. So that's another thing. So you're protecting. That's an important nuance, right?
Yeah.
One, no one feels like a sucker. You're moving with confidence. Everyone feels respected and integrity. That's huge, right? I love that. And then two is making sure that you don't create a competitor by accident. Hey, buddy, you stay buying, I'll stay providing the leads. The 1 minute they think they got to pay more to you than they would a lead gen company, you're out. And they're just going to become competition. That is a huge benefit of that's a cool epiphany. I love that.
Yeah. No, it's just part of it. It comes from experience. And again, this was built out of me wholesaling for years and years and hundreds of transactions before
Right.
even putting it together.
Yeah.
Right. Everything I talk about, everything that I put into it is based out of my experience and other investors, wholesalers' experience along the way. And that's how this product came about. And we're always like fine tuning and perfecting it. Again, we have a simple, straight process for everything. But it comes out of just like experience and losing out on deals and having people come back and renegotiating and having things blow up at the closing table, right? Like you work really hard for those deals. And when you have a deal and you have a big spread and it falls apart, and you know that there's something out there where you could have done to protect it and
Right.
control it. That's why we put it together and put it out there for other investors and wholesalers. I double close everything now. I have a whole business around it, but even smaller profits. Like I don't even have a minimum. My thing is like keep it clean on every single thing. I
Right.
myself, as a wholesaling company, we try to just do deals where we're making 20K or higher, like set that threshold. But even on the smaller ones, if it becomes tighter, whatever happens there, like no issues when we double close, right? No, nobody comes to us and renegotiates or counts our money or anything like that. Like it is well worth going through the steps. And again, I've tried to make those steps as simple and as easy as process for the wholesaler, but it's just, there's no late nights, there's no early mornings now where it's like a big spread and I'm just like, oh God, I hope this one doesn't blow up. It's like, no, we're going to fund it. We're going to turn around and sell it and we'll be on our way to the next one.
Yeah, you're controlling what you can. It's almost like insurance, right? It's like,
Yeah.
the deal might blow up for a series of reasons. It's not going to be this reason. It's not going to be because they saw this. It's good. And as a lead generator, the course I give all of my new clients to get started, it's to do the same thing, minimize friction, right?
Yeah.
But pretty soon we minimize all friction and it's all just a smooth process. But in the beginning, there's a lot of friction and this is about removing that. And one thing I realize is, you have actually one of the best prices out there for this. So actually, I know there's only our second video in, but I'd love for you to share your pricing model as well so they know how much it costs, early on.
Yeah, for sure. So we have it's tiered, but it's very straightforward. Any deal 150K or under that we fund, we just charge a flat fee of $2,000. So $2,000 if it's a $10,000 deal that we fund, or 120, 140, whatever it looks like, anything in between there. 150K or less is 2K. From 150 to 500K, that's where most of, I'd say about 85% of our deals fall in line with. That is 1%. So whatever the amount is that we fund, it's 1% of that.
Okay.
And then we have an admin fee of $500. So that is our sweet spot there in the middle. Now, if somebody has a bigger deal, 500K to a million, and bumps up in more capital that we have to put out, we charge 1.25, so one and a quarter, in that $500 admin fee. So super simple, super straightforward. You don't have to pay like 10% down or 20% down like a normal private or hard money loan or anything like that. Like we fund the full amount. The only thing that we charge up front is when you submit the deal, we have an initiation fee. And that's why we ask, like, no one submit a deal until they have a contract with their seller and with their buyer. But our initiation fee is half of the admin fee of 500. So every time somebody submits a deal, you'll get a link that's set up and it's $250 up front. And then you introduce us to the title company and we'll take it from there. And then everything else just gets paid at closing when that second deal gets funded. We get our money back along with our fee, and then you get your fee as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, I want to let them all know because, it's so reasonable. Up to 150K funded, $2,000 means so. If you're making anything you mentioned earlier, I think the confidence can be priceless and the ability to keep the situation clean can be priceless, right? But if you're making 10 to 15K anywhere, that's worth that 2K deal insurance or anything more. And even just to move with, say, I did that transaction. You know what? I bought it and I sold it. You are on both sides of that. And a secret benefit I just thought of, Peter, is you also have a record now of your LLC doing transactions too. So now
Yep.
think about, whether it's credit or investors that you want to work with. Hey, look how many transactions we've done. You're actually creating a beautiful paper trail as well. That also just hit me. So there's so much credibility coming out of this strategy. And for that low cost mixed with the confidence, I think that's great. So
Yeah.
awesome, man. All right. Well, dude, we're gonna get on to the next one.
Sounds good.